Alright, hello young people. As you can probably surmise, your boy is injured, but I never let that stop me. You should definitely not follow in that example. You should definitely rest when you're injured. But I'm very excited because today, I get to teach you guys one of the key moves for learning my most famous move, the Flying Hawaiian Drop. We're gonna learn the flare. Now, this is a challenging one. It takes a lot of physicality, coordination, and balance above all else. But I think you guys can learn this one pretty quickly. I learned this one in a month, so I'm thinking for you guys maybe a month to 6 weeks, and you guys can get this one down and be well on your way to mastering my most iconic move. Let's get this, young people. So before we even get started in this move, you guys are gonna need a couple things, all right? Number one, you're going to need upper body strength. There's no real metric for how to judge if your upper body is ready enough for flares, but you wanna be able to do at least 20 push-ups. Learning how to do L-sits is always helpful, and having really strong abs, because this is all abs, all right? Next up, we are going to need some degree of flexibility. You don't have to be like a contortionist for this one, but you definitely have to have above average flexibility, all right? So if you can't make an angle bigger than this with your hips, you're not gonna be ready for flare, right? You gotta stretch. You're gonna want an angle that's something like this, all right? For flares, doesn't have to be splits, doesn't have to be super flexible. I can go further than this, but you want at least this angle if you want to do flares, okay? And last but not least, we are going to want solid warm-ups every time, all right? Warm up those joints, warm up your muscles, and of course, warm up the motions. So let's get into it. So obviously this move comes from b-boying and or gymnastics, and there's basically two different motions going on with both parts of your body. Your lower body's doing one thing and your upper body's doing another thing. The lower body's more complicated, so we're gonna start that one first, all right? So what you're gonna wanna do to emulate a flare is, I'll face you guys, get a little peek at the goods. What you're gonna wanna do is sit just like this. You're gonna put your hands down, you're gonna lift your feet off the ground, spread them as wide as you can, and practice making L's on both sides, all right? So this is flat. I wanna go one side, have one up, other side, have one up, all right? Just like that. You'll notice that you automatically start to turn, all right? So if you can hit that L right there, you should be turning every time. You're going to need both no matter which way you go, all right? The next step to the motion is instead of sitting up, you guys are gonna lean back, all right? So you don't want your back to touch, but if your elbows touch, that's fine. You're gonna do the same thing. You're gonna make even bigger L's, and you wanna make them faster and stronger, all right? So we start up, we'll spread to one side, we have one L on this side, and we're gonna whip to the other one, all right? Whip to the other one. Boom, just like that, all right? So that is going to be the front motion of the flare, and the back is a little less complicated and comes naturally. So I'll just give some tips on that part if I have any, but that part should be all natural. The front is what we really need to practice. All right, next up is going to be what we're doing with our upper body, all right? So this is the simple part, but this is also the part where you have to be a little strong for it, all right? So your upper body is basically just going to be your arms going up and down. Imagine marching in place, just like this, all right? But your body, your entire body is going to be going below your arms every time you lift them up, all right? So a good exercise to learn, if you know the 6th step from b-boying, that's a good one. Or you can just practice walking in a circle and bringing your hands down to the same spot, all right? If you have a line on the floor, use that. So here, and I don't want to step in front or behind the line with my hand, all right? I just want to be on the line. Boom, just like that, all right? So I'm staying on the line the entire time, all right? Make sure that you're stepping high with your hands, all right? You don't just want to do this because you will get caught on your body. That's not fun. Every beginner does that at some point, but you want to avoid that. So make sure you're lifting high enough for your body to get under, all right? Just like this. One good prereq move to get used to the motion with your upper body is coffee grinder, all right? So I usually coffee grinder clockwise, but because this leg's kind of out of commission and can't bend too well right now, I'm going to be doing it the other way. But it's the same principle. My leg swings and I'm just stepping over with everything. So step over right, step over left, and then I jump over the leg, all right? So when I do multiple coffee grinders, all that's happening is I'm just jumping over. Good, so we got our lower body parts down and we got our upper body parts down. Now the difficult part is putting those two things together, all right? So a good warm-up exercise you can do is you can, actually I don't know if this has a name, but you're basically gonna do a flare with your hips on the ground, all right? So we're going to use our hands to support ourselves. Love these flies. We're gonna use our hands to support ourselves and we're going to try and flare, right? So we're gonna go here And then we're just going to put the front of our hips on the ground, just like this. This is kind of what you'd call a belly mill. And then back onto your legs, just like that. You'll notice that your abs have to stretch at one point and contract at another, all right? So it's not a very helpful exercise for learning the flare, but it will help your mind get used to that motion, all right? So from this point on, I'm going to be teaching clockwise flare. If you do counterclockwise, just opposites for everything I say, okay? So step one, you're going to take your right leg and do a rear sweep behind your left leg and put your hand down, all right? So I usually just put my hand down straight below my shoulder, just like this, all right? So straight below, right sweep, all right? Should go right behind my left knee. One more time, straight down, right sweep. Straight down, right sweep. Down. All right, simple enough. You're gonna want a lot of power with that sweep, all right? Because your sweep is gonna give you the speed. The next step, we're just adding on. You're going to take your left leg and you're going to jump and kick it straight up, all right? So if my left leg was on the ground right here, this is kind of the position I'm in. I'm going to jump off my left leg and I'm going to kick it straight up, just like this. Boom, right towards my shoulder. I'm just making that L, yeah? The L from the warm-up, that's what I'm doing with my left leg. Jumping, kicking up, just like that. So just those two steps, down, sweep and jump. Down, sweep and jump, just like that. Down, sweep and jump. All right, so we don't have to jump that high off of this leg, but we do want to kick very high, all right? A lot of times when you're learning from a b-boy, they tell you with a straight leg, try to kick your head, yeah? So something like, boom, that's what we want to do. Okay, so now we've come to the first challenge point. This is where everybody has a lot of trouble learning the flares, all right? So we're at the first position, which is something like this, yeah? But our butt's not on the ground, we're on our hands. But we're in our first L. What we have to do now is bring ourselves to our second L, just like the warm-up, yeah? Just like that. So all the tutorials I ever watched growing up and everybody who ever told me anything, they'd be like, oh yeah, you kicked your left leg up, now simply kick your right leg up and you'll go into a flare. But you know, you're on your hands. You can't exactly just kick one thing up and then the other, unless you do it slowly and also have the core of a god, which none of us do. So what actually happens is you're in your first L and you are going to kick your right leg up, but you're also going to kick your left leg down, just like this, all right? Exponential decay with your left leg, exponential growth with your right leg, yeah? So you see left leg comes down and under, right leg comes up and over, just like that, all right? So when you do the warm-up exercise, don't think about just lifting your right leg. Think about forcing your left leg under to bring your right leg up, just like that, yeah? So yeah, that's the first challenge. Once you figure that out, and you're gonna fall a lot, so be prepared. Once you figure that out, you should get to your second L position on the other side. So initially, we did this. Now we want to bring it all the way through and stop on the other side. So like this. Just like that, yeah? And you can see with my arms, all I did was have one up and bring it down, all right? We're only doing one arm placement right now. Nice and simple, just one flare at a time. Okay, so now we've got one whole half of a flare down. And the good news is that is the difficult half. Getting the back of your flare down is really just a transfer of momentum, okay? So one of the other things you could do in the warm-up, you're either gonna sit or kneel. I'm probably gonna sit because, you know, I'm injured. And you're just going to sit in your L and you're going to practice leaning your torso in a circle, all right? Just like this. You can catch it with your hands if you want to. Just lean your torso in a circle. So when I'm in front, my abs are completely contracted, right? I'm at the end of my flexibility. When I'm inside, one of my obliques is stretched and the other one is contracted. And when I'm in the back, my abs are nice and stretched, all right? So this motion right here is going to be what your upper body is doing, and your lower body is just going to be following that. So when my legs are out front, my upper body is leaned back. And when my legs are in the back, my upper body is leaned forward, okay? Okay, so the final and most difficult concept of the flare is you're going to have to use your muscles' elasticity, okay? So what that means is you can't really do a flare if you're crunched up, your legs are bent, you barely have any spread in your hips. You can power those out if you're strong, but you're not gonna get that many and you're definitely not gonna be able to do a solid drop out of that. What you really want is you want your legs to be spread as far as they can. You wanna be almost kicking your head every time you're in front. and you want your abs to be stretching and contracting quite a bit, all right? So how to do that is you're going to have to swing and whip really hard with that right leg, and you're gonna have to kick up super hard with that left leg. But also, when you get to the front, you don't wanna be in this position, yeah? This position with your butt off the ground, that's not a good flare position. What you want is to be leaned back so much so that your shoulders and hips are almost at the same level, yeah? Shoulders can be slightly higher, and then your legs way above your head, just like that, all right? That's how you get a good flare, and I'll show you the difference, all right? So here's a flare without good hip extension, and I'm not using the elasticity, right? Here it is. Legs go high, but I really don't have enough space to go all the way around for multiple. Now here's a good one with good elasticity and good hip extension, all right? If you see that, I automatically went into the other one. My hips were higher, and I was ready to continue my flares or do the flying Hawaiian drop, all right? So that's a difficult concept. I'll probably write out a document on that one at some point. So that can be a difficult concept. I'll try my best to explain that in the future when I do the flying Hawaiian drop tutorial. But yeah, that's what we really want to focus on, is just getting that elasticity and that whip, okay? So I'll show you from a couple different angles. Down, whip, all right? I want to whip that leg all the way around. Here's the back, down, just like that, okay? So to review, legs extended and also spread super far. Hips extended when we flare, and arms strong and reaching over our body, all right? We don't want to be super wide and unstable like this. We want to be nice and right below the body, just like that. This is a difficult move. I know it takes a lot of strength. It's completely unnatural, you know, it's like learning a backflip. No human being is born knowing how to do a backflip, and just like that, no human being is born knowing how to do a flare. So be patient with yourself. You're gonna fall a lot, you're gonna get some bruises. You can see I got scars all over my feet from the burns, which brings me to my final tip: wear socks. It doesn't matter what surface you're on, you can get burned. Wear socks, it helps a lot. So yeah, that's about all I got for you guys at this point. Hopefully injury will be healed up soon, but even if it doesn't heal up perfectly, I still have a lot of moves that I can show you without having to rely too much on my right knee. But yeah, stick around for the slow motion videos at the end, and Flying Hawaiian, outie.